The Pod Network Entertainment.
So yun, balik tayo sa question ko. Where do you want to see Ricochet go if you had to make a decision, diba? Which he likely will once his contract expires?
Like I said earlier, everywhere. Not just in one company. Like I could see him working GCW. I could see him working New Japan. But also I want to see that match. And I think people know what I'm referring to. It's a rematch against Will Ospreay. Kasi for some people, that was their introduction to New Japan. That Ricochet Ospreay match from all those years ago. So I want that. I want to see that again. But I don't want him to be stuck in AEW.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb. I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening... And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stancy, Romoran, and Emil Nate at your service for our weekend reactions because we do have some things to talk about heading into what's another heavy week of wrestling back-to-back. Meron tayong NXT Battleground kanina lang. We're recording on Monday night. And then this weekend, we've got Clash at the Castle, Scotland. So medyo walang pahinga tayo on the WWE side of things. But I want to start with Emil first because he and I were together this morning at a viewing party for the NBA Finals where Emil was the only person in blue in a sea of green.
Yeah, actually, di ko naman sinasadya yun because I only had a few shirts na dala dito sa Manila. And so I used yung the Jey Uso shirt na binili natin nung pasabay. So I didn't know that it was like hindi naman exclusive but it was organized by Celtics fans. So pagdating ko doon, nagulat ako. Like, they were all wearing Celtics jerseys.
Tapos naka-blue ka pa for Minnesota Lakers.
Di naman. Like, di naman. But, sobrang ganda naman ng atmosphere earlier. And happy lahat kasi panalo yung Boston. And even I liked how they won earlier. So, everything was great this morning.
Yeah, the best part was walang nanggugulo, diba? So that's what it feels like attending a viewing party na walang nanggugulo, walang nanghahampasan ng props and all of that. Just sports fans having a damn good time.
What props would an NBA fan bring? Meron mo replica, Larry Bird trophy?
Wala. Yung mga yung mga signed trophies lang na binibenta ng Hobby Stadium. Diba? Pero, nobody goes to an NBA watch party with a ball, right? So why would you go to a wrestling watch party with a steel chair in hand? Okay, tama na.
Bola siguro pwede pa.
No, Emil, I've been to a couple of these NBA watch parties. Nobody brings a ball. Why would you bring a ball?
Okay.
Alam mo yung sa pag high school ka, tapos yung mga varsity may dalang bola sa classroom. Does that ever happen to you guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
They would try to play with it, pero syempre sasabihin ng teacher, lagay niyo sa likod yung bola or tago niyo sa cubbyhole or whatever. Jeez. All right. Let's get to some actual wrestling talk here. We're going to start our weekend reactions with news that came out over the weekend na si Ricochet daw has already given his notice para umalis na siya ng WWE pag nag-expire na yung contract niya this summer. So in the US, summer is between June and August. And one of the indicators na malamang totoo to is that Andrade has defeated Ricochet for the Speed Championship. So in a way, medyo follow-up din to sa nireport natin sa podcast na si Andrade is reportedly unhappy with his booking right now sa WWE. So now Andrade is a speed champion, and much like you guys, or contrary to what you guys predicted last week, mukhang aalis nga ng WWE si Ricochet.
Hey, I said I wanted him to go. I said it. He deserved to have the Cody Rhodes hero's journey. Tapos ang funny part is apparently the solution to Andrade's own issues is to give him the speed championship. So obviously that's not the real solution to things. But I find it funny that of all people, si Andrade yung binigyan ng championship na dinedefend lang on social media, right? So hey, it's good for Ricochet. I think he is one of the guys that knows his worth. Syempre, he was a big deal from the Indies, from NJPW. They knew what they had, and then syempre, he thought that Triple H's NXT would see his value, and then Vince happened, main roster happened, and then he just got lost in the shuffle. So I want to see him. I want to see him go on that journey. I think it will pay dividends no matter where he goes, even if he ends up getting lost in the shuffles. AEW. I think so far the AEW creative has been pretty stable when it comes to yung mga wealth of stars that they have right now. If not, just because even though they're not all being pushed to the world title or whatever, I think right now they're doing a good job of navigating that.
Oh naman, last week I did say na I wanted Ricochet to stay, but ito na, dito na tayo eh. He's gonna leave. And you know what? It's fine. I mean, Ricochet is talented naman na he's gonna have a job regardless. Alam mo na the first day that he's free, someone's about to get him because he's one of the best high flyers in the world. And
yes, that is usually the case for former WWE talent. There's always a market for them.
No, Ricochet is something else eh. And
sure. Okay.
Hindi lang dahil nag-WWE siya, but he also had an indie run before where doon nga siya mas nakilala eh. And then that's why he's WWE got him all those years ago. So hindi siya mawawala ng trabaho. And I also want him now to not just be stuck in a company, but rather do what guys like Mustafa Ali is doing, Matt Cardona's doing. Kasi if you see him in different places, he's an attraction. So I think these different indie promotions would love to get Ricochet.
Mm-hmm. Syempre si Ricochet is if he really is leaving WWE, he goes away not having been world champion, never really being a main event player. And one of the criticisms about Ricochet's work, which some observers say na yun yung dahilan kung bakit parang may ceiling yung trajectory niya sa WWE, is the fact na hindi siya magaling on the mic and yung character niya never really na flesh out. So what do you think about those feedback about Ricochet's work?
I don't know. It's unfair to say that it's all because of the mic. I think he's pretty capable. Para siyang Rey Mysterio. Rey wasn't really all that good in the mic back in his prime. And then it was only just now that he found yung voice niya, which is yung laging passionate, laging determined to overcome. So he found that. And I feel like Ricochet wasn't super terrible. It's just that you're correct in saying that it really was more because he never got that opportunity to flesh out yung who he is. I think nobody ever explained Ricochet other than him being the highlight of the night. And what does that really mean? And nobody really gave him the pedestal or the time of day to find out who the man really is, what his motivations are. Diba? Anyone can be given that opportunity, as you can see. Diba? If you see someone like Cody Rhodes, they got around to doing that after he left and after he came back. And now they didn't get around to doing that for Ricochet anywhere at all during his entire WWE run, even nung panahon niya sa Black and Gold NXT.
I feel like Ricochet is one of the victims of Vince McMahon not handling NXT talents well when they got to the main roster. Kasi yun na nga eh. There were times where I felt like they were gonna legit try to push him, just like that one time he actually had a title match against Brock Lesnar. I don't know if many people can remember that, but yeah, I actually had a point in his career where I felt like he was almost like he was on the brink of being a main eventer, but they never really capitalized on him. Um, medyo bumawi-bawi na lang nung Triple H took over. I mean, that's why I said last week na he found a spot where I thought he was doing really well, which is parang he's the guy where um, if parang if they want someone to have a good match, they would pair him with Ricochet. And sabi ko nga last week, I thought that was a good role for him. That's a role na not bad for someone like Ricochet na you'll still get to be on national TV each and every week kahit na hindi ka main eventer. But I guess he wanted more than that, and that's why he made this decision, and he's gonna go wherever he ends up when his contract expires.
It's actually
Speaking
ironic.
of the decision,
Sorry.
where do you guys want to see him?
Wait, really quickly. It's actually kind of ironic na ngayon ko lang naisip to. Pero it's actually ironic that in WWE, they gave him AEW booking. So what I mean by that is, for the most part, or for the entire part of his run, they set him out there and let him cook as a athlete, as a high flying acrobat, diba? So here's Ricochet. He can fly around. He can move around like that, like no one else can, and that's it. That's the story. That's the booking, and that's what you see in AEW, right? It speaks a lot when you see other guys like Chad Gable get an entire family backstory. Look at this. He wrestles for his daughter. He wrestles for his family. Diba? So and Ricochet never got that. Never got any of that. He really was like the one-dimensional highlight of the night, and that was unfair to him because I felt. Nobody says it out loud, but nobody also felt that he deserved to be three-dimensional as a WWE superstar.
Mm-hmm. So yun, balik tayo sa question ko. Where do you want to see Ricochet go if he had to make a decision, diba? Which he likely will once his contract expires?
Like I said earlier, everywhere. Not just in one company. Like I could see him working GCW. I could see him working New Japan. But also, I want to see that match. And I think people know what I'm referring to. It's a rematch against Will Ospreay. Because for some people, that was their introduction to New Japan. That Ricochet Ospreay match from all those years ago. So I want that. I want to see that again. But I don't want him to be stuck in AEW. So if they can find a way to do that, then by all means.
I wanted to say New Japan, but syempre they can't do that, especially when you have a fiance in the US, right? Although they were both traveling, it's a lot easier if you're both in the US, diba? So I think AEW naman is the natural landing place. I think the sicko is gonna go make a play for him. So I think that's pretty much a done deal. Alam na niya. Oh, palabas na si Ricochet, pa-exit na siya. So he's already making moves.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, let's talk about NXT Battleground. Kasi syempre yun yung big PLE that happened just hours ago for us here in Manila as we're recording. And I want to start with the UFC Apex as a venue. Kasi ito talaga yung one of the biggest interbrand integrations ng WWE and UFC magmula nang naging official yung merger ng TKO. So, as a venue, first time natin nakita, di ba, na okay, this is how the UFC Apex looks pag ginawang pang wrestling. And it really looks like, kind of like TNA, actually. I don't know if you got the same vibes, di ba? Pareho sa studio ng TNA. Bagay siya for a studio wrestling show, much like NXT UK, if you remember how the set looked. Ganun din, same feels, right? So it's very intimate, actually more intimate pa nga than the Performance Center, where the regular episodes happen.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I was expecting like a UFC setup, but I remember that UFC setups are, I believe, in the MGM Grand, something like that. I was expecting that, and I got like a glorified version of the PC, or an intimate version of the PC. And I feel like it was kind of unfair then. Yes, there was a partnership between the two sister companies, pero I'm already used to the NXT PLEs happening in big arenas. Your typical arena. So parang for me, it felt like a downgrade. Even though the vibe was great, it felt like a downgrade. I felt like the stars deserved a bigger arena than that.
Yeah, same sentiments here. I thought the venue was really nice. When I saw a photo of it before the show, I thought, okay, this looks nice, but it's perfect for a TV episode or a TV taping, but not necessarily for a big PLE like Battleground. Kasi, you know, the weird thing is NXT was starting to go to these big arenas already, ever since like 2 years ago. So it was weird na bumalik sila sa isang small venue. But I understand because it's again, it's an integration of UFC and WWE, but I wish they could do this next time for TV episodes and then go back. I think they're gonna go back naman to the bigger arenas because I think the next one is on the weekend of Money in the Bank, right?
Yeah,
There's
Heatwave in
NXT.
Toronto.
So I feel like this is just a one-time thing, na PLE, but here sa Apex. But I'm also sure that it's not gonna be the last time that they're gonna be there. Feel like they can do the special NXT episodes there.
Mm-hmm. So, big stuff that happened sa Battleground. We're going to start with Kehlani Jordan being the inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion. Nobody really mentioned Kehlani's name nung nagpa-predictions tayo. It was mostly Sol Ruka, maybe Michin, maybe Lash Legend, but Kehlani Jordan was kind of high up on our list when we did predictions given the bracket, and then after that, she kind of slipped out.
Yeah, I don't hate it. You're right. I did think it was gonna be Sol Ruka. Pero now that I think about it, yeah, Kalani was the breakout winner. Sorry, it was Sol pala. Oh no, sorry, it was Lola Vice who won the breakout tournament. But I also saw Kalani's progression. I thought that she was actually a low key, complete rookie wrestler. And now that I think about it, they have been kind of just working around yung natural athleticism ni Sol Ruka. So while that's nice to watch, it's also not like champion material just yet. So I understand why they did this. I also would have pulled for any of the main roster. I see Michin na pala main roster. I would have pulled for her, but I guess I understand why it can't be her as well. So yeah, I don't hate it. My personal pick is Lash Legend. I discovered how much I love that girl, and but she's also not quite there yet. I understand that, but I think she will be one day. But yeah, I don't hate this. I don't hate Kalani Jordan being champ.
Yeah, same. I mean, when we were talking about this, when the title got introduced, I think I said na this title will either be a title for the veterans sa NXT, quote unquote veterans sa NXT, or to the really younger women talent in NXT. And now with Kalani Jordan being the champion, I think the latter came true. So Kalani Jordan, she's pretty young, and I think I mentioned her when we were making the predictions dun lumabas yung bracket na she could be a name that I could see being the first champion. And I'm glad that even though hindi siya yung na-predict natin, I'm glad that they went with her as the inaugural champ. Really gives that feel that this championship is for for the younger talent on the roster, and I like it. NXT, the women's roster in NXT is that deep na having a mid card title is almost warranted at this point, and I'm glad that we finally have some sort of mid card women's title there.
All right. More Battleground reactions after this break. But first, let's hear a quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network.
Hi there, my name is Earl, and I'm the host of Philippine Campfire Stories. After this episode that you're listening to, baka naman gusto mong mag-check ng mga horror stories sa mga folklore and urban legends na nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Mga true horror stories shared in a manner na hindi ka naman matatakot pero ma-entertain ka. Go ahead and check out Philippine Campfire Stories, and we have over 200 episodes just waiting for you. See you there!
More Battleground reactions, and it was really just NXT sticking to the status quo after Keilani Jordan became Women's North American Champion. Yung mga dayo or galing sa labas, lahat sila natalo. And what do you think about that decision na all of the titles did not switch hands?
Yeah, I mean, it happens, right? I mean, sometimes your signpost event is just another stop on the journey, right? So, I mean, not. I mean, I wish some of the titles changed. I mean, I wanted Ethan Page to win. I wanted Jordan Grace to win. Pero, you understand why they did what they did. Pero, so I think the biggest waste was Ethan Page. Like, this guy was your biggest signing of the month. And I understand that he's not like the biggest star you could sign, pero big deal naman siya in the context of NXT, in the pond of NXT. So, sorry, excuse me. How sad is it that kulelat na naman si Ethan Page in his first match of his Heroes Welcome.
Yeah, I know it's weird. But for me, kasi Battleground is not really a major NXT PLE for me. So it's like if I'm not mistaken, last year it was only like a TV special. So I don't think Battleground was meant to be that.
No, it was
big.
a PLE.
It was a PLE last year.
Yes,
okay.
it was a
but,
PLE.
Okay, but yeah, I feel like the main the biggest or the bigger PLE for NXT in the stretch between Stand and Deliver and the next one is probably Heatwave. So if any title change will happen, I think it's probably going to be at Heatwave with a bigger crowd. But again, I'm okay with the title retentions. The tag team title stays with Fraser and Axiom. It looks like the OC is gonna go back to the main roster to be with AJ again. And sino pa ba? Oh yeah, Jordan Grace. Wish she could have won, but I like that they kind of told the TNA story in there, story in the women's title match.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though we wanted Ethan Page to win, I think it's quite too early for Trick to lose a title. But siguro hindi pa tapos tong feud na to, and we're gonna get another rematch with a stipulation come Heatwave.
We're going to show a lot of love to Battleground and the matches from that card sa Picks of the Week episode natin, which should be on your feed while you're listening to this. But Emil, you touched on a point that we have to flesh out further, and that is Dana Brooke, now known as Ash by Elegance, showing up at Battleground. So medyo weird though, because Dana Brooke came from WWE, was there for years as Dana Brooke. She left. She's now with TNA. She now goes by Ash by Elegance. Meron siyang storyline right now involving the Knockouts Championship and Jordan Grace. So nung nagparamdam siya, Vic Joseph on commentary was like, that's Dana Brooke. No, that's Ash by Elegance, a TNA wrestler, when, we all know who that is. So what did you think of that decision?
I enjoy that moment. I enjoy that moment. Because one, it proves that we are in a new era. Like, Vic Joseph is not going to insult your intelligence. He's going to first acknowledge the fact that Dana Brooke was here before she went to TNA. And then for those who know, which is everyone who's watching NXT, he points that out first. He acknowledges the history that is the history of the Ash by Elegance character. And then he respects the new name, even though he could have easily just called her Dana Brooke because she's back in her home territory, or so-called home territory. But he did not. He respected the TNA canon. He respected the TNA kayfabe, and that goes a long way. Kasi hindi na insultuin yung talino mo, diba? Like he's not gonna pretend that he's never seen this woman before in his entire lifetime, in his entire professional career, right? So I enjoy that so much. And second, he respects a new name. He did not dead name Ash by Elegance. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, this was a cool acknowledgement of both promotions. Plus, syempre, it was an NXT event. So people who would watch the event are familiar with her as Dana Brooke. So I like that he acknowledged it first. Wait a minute. This is Dana. Oh, yeah. And then, since Nero, he also gave respect to to her new persona as Ashby Elegance. So it was a cool moment. It was kind of a cool Easter egg as well. Cool Easter egg for the fans. And again, I like that they progressed a TNA storyline in NXT programming. So
Oh yeah, that's
uh,
nice.
yeah, parang sinulit nila yung crossover moment during
Well,
that match.
it so happened about that the person Jordan Grace was feuding with in TNA
Uh,
is a former NXT superstar. Where this might be complicated is if someone like Nick Nemeth comes back to NXT, diba? Parang who or what are you gonna call him this time? Because obviously mas kilala siya as Dolph Ziggler, and then it's one of those things that people will call him Dolph Ziggler because that is the name they knew him by. Will they respect Nick Nemeth or will they go back to the more familiar Dolph Ziggler? Because that's where I think I think that's gonna get muddy. Like it's not like Mustafa Ali, who was still Mustafa Ali.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll have to deal with that and make a problem out of it if and when it happens, diba? So maybe we should hope na mas tumagal tong relationship between WWE and TNA so we can actually see if this will be a problem going forward. It is an interesting conundrum that all parties will find themselves in kung kinailangan nga nila si Nick Nemeth, FKA Dolph Ziggler, to be part of a crossover event. But going back to Vic Joseph and that supposed slip of the tongue, now it's Dana Brush by elegance, diba? If you listen to commentary long enough or if you practice mic work long enough, you'll know na everything was done decisively. Diba? It's deliberate on Vic Joseph's part. Like he doesn't do things accidentally just for the sake of getting caught in a Freudian slip or whatever. So everything he said and everything he's done 99.9% of the time, I can tell you na pinag-isipan niya yun. So, it's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge type of deal from Vic Joseph. So, ako mismo, as someone who also does commentary, I love that that slip of the tongue, so to speak, and how a lot of people were wondering na, totoo ba? Did he have that moment na nakalimutan niya na ito na yung pangalan niya and whatever? So, great all around, great move all around for Vic Joseph. All right. One last thing to talk about dito sa weekend reactions natin, and this is about Hikuleo from New Japan, who seems to be on his way out of that promotion. And for those who don't know, si Hikuleo yung bunsong kapatid ni Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. So apparently he is headed for WWE to rejoin his brothers and to probably reform GOD as part of this more brutal version of the bloodline headed by Solo Sikoa. Do you guys want to see this happen?
I don't mind it, pero si Hikule ang pinaka-huyu sa kanilang tatlo.
Pero malaking bula siya.
Yeah. Tongaloa is a former WWE superstar. Tama Tonga is a known entity. But Hikuleo, he is the most unknown entity of the bunch. So I don't know. Obviously, they're going to accept the WWE universe will accept whoever the company presents in front of them as a member of the bloodline, right? Even though they're chanting they want Roman, but I don't hate it. I just am not that excited for it. Like yes, it's cool kasi magkakasama sila magkakapatid, pero for the most part, it feels like they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here when it comes to Samoans and Pacific Islanders of the family to get for the bloodline.
Isn't this the third time that this has been rumored? Because I swear naging
you're right. You're right. Hikule is a big boy, so he did catch the eye before. Pero ito may sense na talaga kasi they're forming a new bloodline, right?
Yeah, at this point parang it's starting to get to NWO levels. They're just adding anyone who has a Samoan blood or a Tongan blood to the bloodline just to continue the storyline. And I don't think
no. Let's not reduce it to anyone who just has that kind of bloodline. Because if that were the case, you would be getting the rando Fatus and whoever have you from the indies.
Or
obviously
Samoa Joe would have found his way back there.
Oh, exactly. Or si Sean Maluta, babalik nila for the bloodline, diba? Remember that guy?
Yep.
So let's not forget, for the people listening to this, that the Tonga family, yung mga yung Sinahaku and yung mga anak niya, they are still bloodline related to the Samoans, to the Anoa'i dynasty. So let's
By the
not
way, Sean
downplay
Maluta's
that.
also part of the Anoa'i family.
Oh, yun, yung
He
pa,
is,
diba?
He is.
And they're
he
not
is.
getting him. Yeah, I know he is.
But if Hikuleo was gonna go to WWE, I wish he would go down to NXT first. So that kasi for me parang yes, he was in NJPW, and I know if you came from NJPW, then hindi ka bano. But I think he still needs some improvement, some seasoning, and then if the Bloodline story needs him, then he can join. But at this point, I think the Bloodline is set with who they have. I mean, dadating pa si Jacob Fatu Like, that's a name that we're still waiting if he's gonna debut as part of the Bloodline. So, if again for Hikuleo, if he gets a bag for WWE, then good for him.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here. We've got Clash at the Castle happening in a few days. Diba? The last Clash at the Castle, that's where we first saw Solo Sikoa as part of the Bloodline. I highly doubt though na cleared na si Hikuleo by then kasi yung balita is he's on his way out pa lang, which means na nakakontrata pa siya sa New Japan. But Clash at the Castle in Scotland could be the debut of another member of the Bloodline.
Yeah, I think they're only just setting up the seeds. They're watering the seeds. They're planting the seeds with his impending exit because they already started teasing dissension in the Bullet Club, right? So I think it's gonna be a while. It's just that this is what's point. This is the one that's pointing to that outcome.
All right. So those are our weekend reactions. If you want to get yours in sa mga pinag-usapan natin from the big stuff that happened from the weekend that was, you know where to find us. It is at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok. For the Facebook page and Spotify and Instagram, it is at Wrestling Podcast. Or individually, you can hit us up. It is at EML_Meister, at Rois War, at Monday Night Rowan, at Chino Supersized, and at _Stan C. Thank you very much to Babyface producer Jasper and the rest of the Pod Network for all of the work that they do behind the scenes. And thank you for catching another episode of the Wrestling Podcast. Stick around for our picks of the week. It should be up on your feeds now. But until then, this ends this particular episode of the Wrestling Podcast. For Romoran and Emil Nate, as well as Chino Liao and Rowan ASH, my name is Stan C, reminding you to stay safe, stay dry, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast out. Later, Outcasts.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.